What's going on, y'all? Sly here, and thanks for watching another Sly Nation game review. Now, this review is a little late because I was without power for over a week from Hurricane Matthew, so I ended up missing the Gears of War release and about a week of playtime. Nonetheless, a franchise I played all throughout college, I had to give a review even if it's a little late. So far, it has rave reviews from just about all the major game sites, but is it really that good? Well, that's exactly what we're here to find out. Now, I speak my mind on all reviews, so let's find out what this newest installment of Gears of War is all about. Alright, so this latest Gears is set in the future after the Locust War. The original crew of Marcus, Baird, Cole, along with the remaining survivors are all in their golden years. The children born during the Locust War now run the COG, and they've had 2 decades of peace, settling, rebuilding, and advancing. You start off the story as James, the son of Marcus Phoenix. James, or JD, is the main protagonist of this story, and he's flanked by 2 friends and co-stars, Kate, the daughter of the Outsiders leader, and Dell, James's buddy from back in the COG days. The backstory of James and Dell is pretty slim, but basically after joining up with the COG, they both went AWOL and ran away to become Outsiders. It doesn't show the story at all, and only after listening to some conversation does that point actually come out. You know, it would have been nice to see how they ran away and how they met up with Kate, but nonetheless, you do get the full picture sooner or later. The beginning starts off by a speech from the current COG First Minister, Minister Jin. The tutorial sets you up with a crash course backstory of how everything came to be in the Gears universe, what happened in the past, and why the new characters are the main focus this time around. Now, the cool thing about Gears 4 is that it's one of the new Play Anywhere titles. Windows 10 and Xbox are blurring the boundaries, and I expect when Scorpio arrives, gameplay will be almost indistinguishable from one another unless you have a super high-end PC. The cool thing about these Play Anywhere titles is that you can play co-op or horde mode with someone using a PC, even if you're on Xbox or vice versa. In versus mode, you aren't allowed to match up against one another for obvious reasons, and while all that is pretty cool, it's not the most exciting thing about Play Anywhere. Here you can see me playing one of the end missions on the PC. After exiting and then closing out on Windows 10, you can then hop back onto your Xbox, load up your save game, and continue where you left off on PC. It's extremely fast, and as long as you're signed in, it requires absolutely no effort on your part. Just hit continue and you're good to go. This is pretty awesome and something I've been using a lot. As far as graphics go, guys, they look absolutely awesome and fluid on both systems. Obviously, PC has way better frame rates, but they did a great job on getting textures that matter to stand out on the Xbox. If you were to be locked to 30 frames per second on PC, you actually would not be able to tell the difference unless you were running on Ultra or High. That's a feat in and of itself, and it just goes to show you how well polished this game really is. Now, of course, I'm not saying that PC and Xbox are the same, because they are definitely not. But like I said, if you could lock frame rates at 30 frames per second and set it to medium on the PC, you would have a hard time telling the difference. And that's pretty impressive considering the limited resources Xbox has over a PC, especially one that's over 3 years old now. I'm also using a day one Xbox. Now, I heard playing Gears of War 4 with HDR and 4K upscaling on the Xbox One S is something pretty special to see. If I didn't just buy a new PC, I would have definitely went that route. If you're a Gears fan, then you will not be let down. The mechanics basically picked up where they left off. The roadie run, shooting, executions, the Nasher all feel like old school Gears, and while it's a nice blast from the past, it doesn't offer anything that new. Gunplay, great. Sounds are spot on. Cutscenes are about as polished as they can become. However, the reusing of Locust enemies just with different names, it seems like a cheap way out. Relabeling a Brumac to a Swarmac? I mean, really? Granted, it fits with the lore and the story, but it would have been nice to see, new cannon fodder. The larger tier enemies were great and liked their attacks, but the smaller ones were nothing new besides the DBs, which have been done to death in other games. Still, besides that, enemies react well. They don't seem as smart as previous Gears of War. They kind of open themselves up for attacks a lot more frequently, and their heads seem to hang over cover a lot more than they used to. It makes easy work on lower difficulties and gives you a fighting chance on harder ones, so I guess it's not really that big of a deal. The campaign was actually pretty long. It flowed very nicely, and it was a journey that's classic spot-on Gears of War campaign. Rainy, dark, in-your-face action. Loved the cutscenes and the mech at the end. You can never go wrong with an ass-kicking mech. If you love Gears of War, then the campaign is something you will definitely love to play. It's a great time and, as always, a little gritty, a little emotional, but it's an impactful story that leaves you ready to take the fight back to the Swarm. I would have liked to see a little more variation though. Treading some new areas would have been a breath of fresh air. Now for those multiplayer fans, this is where Gears went big. They cleverly teach you how to play Horde Mode 3.0 within the campaign, setting up defenses and surviving like these mini waves within the story itself. It lets you familiarize yourself on how this new mode works. In Horde Mode 3.0, you survive waves of increasingly powerful enemies while collecting currency to deposit back into your fabricator so you can keep staging defenses. It's fun, challenging, and a great way to rank up. However, it is very long, so prepare to see tons of quitters about every 10 rounds, and two-manning hordes gets a little hairy around wave 15 and up. Versus is pretty spot on from what they had in the beta, except a little more fluid. Snap to cover is great, and the new customization system they have is an awesome addition. Working towards something is always great, and these bounties do just that. However, they do take a while to complete. Some faster bounties would have been nice to see. Overall, if you're a multiplayer fan of Gears, then you will be right at home. Multiplayer changed just enough to make it feel new while keeping the old school Gears feel to it. Multiplayer is everything it needs to be and honors what makes Gears, Gears of War. In the end, I would end up saying that some of these overhyped reviews like, you must play this game or be prepared to have your mind blown, they're a little over the top. It's a great game that honors its past, but in my opinion, it plays a little too safe, and it kind of stuck too much in the past. The new weapons, they are cool. Some are hard as hell to use, like the drop shot. I hate the drop shot. But just like the Gears in the past, it's a bloody good time. I'd easily give it a 9 out of 10. It's polished like crazy. It's a fun campaign, fun multiplayer, and it's a huge new aspect of Gears of War. It changed just enough in multiplayer to make it fun again, but the campaign, while fun and an awesome shooter, it's pretty much the same thing we've done in the past 3 games. You go underground, you shoot locusts in the face, and then chainsaw them up, come back to the surface with a lot less people. I would definitely recommend the game. It's pretty long, fun to play, but the overhype is definitely real. Multiplayer holds a lot of things to do, but I can see it getting old in a few weeks' time. Since the game held on to its roots so much, it feels like it's something we've already done. But what we do have here is executed damn well. Alright guys, that's my review of Gears of War 4. As always, hope you enjoyed it, and even if you're not a Gears fan, if you don't know the story, they start it so that anyone can hop into the franchise and be prepared for the next few installments. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you want to be alerted to anything new coming out of Sly Nation, follow me on Twitter @SlyNation or subscribe to me here on YouTube. Always a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, and until next time, this is your boy Sly. Later!